Ceballos. The title of the presentation is Comparison of Two Commercial Presentations of Recombinant Bovine Somatotropin on Milk Yield in Grazing Dairy Cows in a Non-Inferiority Trial.
Well, good morning, everyone. It has been a great time here in Japan, so thank you very much for organizing this wonderful meeting. What I would like to do is just to share with you the results that a study that we conducted in Colombia, just to compare to commercial presentation of bovine somatotropin on milk yield in grazing dairy cows. Bovine somatotropin has been widely researched in the dairy industry. You know that this kind of hormone, we have been using that for increasing milk yield maybe in the last 30 years or so. And there is a lot of studies showing the results of using these kind of hormones to increase milk production. And numerous studies have investigated the effect of the bovine somatotropin on milk production, indicating that milk is increased in treated cows. However, there are not enough studies comparing the effects of two commercial presentations of this hormone, and in particular for the Colombian market. Our producers need to know more information on what product they should use for increasing milk production under our dairy systems. In Colombia, I can say that probably more than 95% of the herds are, of the dairy herds, are under grazing systems. So we wanted to compare the effect of these two commercial presentations of bovine somatotropin under our dairy production conditions in Colombia, under our systems. The objective of the study was to demonstrate the non-inferiority of one of the commercial presentations that we have available in our market, which is the Bomate, marketed by Merck & Company, and we compare this product over the other one, which was lactotropin from the Elanco company, by assessing their effect on milk yield in dairy cows maintained under similar commercial dairy grazing dairy systems. For conducting the study, we just selected 24 cows. All of those were in just one commercial dairy herd located in the middle of the country, very close to Bogota, which is the capital of the country. The savanna of Bogota is located at 2,300 meters above the sea level. We have the high producing cows in high mountains. So we selected the cows there. That was a normal commercial herd in Colombia. Cows were randomly allocated to one of two groups. One of the groups was Group A. We selected 12 cows, and they were treated with 500 milligrams of recombinant bovine somatotropin in a vitamin E lecithin-based formulation. The commercial brand is Bomate. And the Group B, there were also 12 cows there. They were treated with the same amount of recombinant bovine somatotropin. And the vehicle for this hormone in this presentation was a zinc sesame oil-based formulation. And both of them were administered to the cows according to the manufacturer's instructions every 14 days over 20 cycles starting between 15 and 80 days in milk. Cows were milked twice a day, and milk yield was recorded once a week. We set the non-inferiority difference between both treatments at 5 kgs of milk per cow per day, with a 95% confidence interval between 2.5 and 7.5. There were no differences in parity of the cows and days in milk. Oh, I'm sorry, it's still in Spanish, but it should be DIM, days in milk, which was 57 days at the beginning of the trial. We used mixed regression models just to compare both formulations in the results in both groups of cows. The average milk yield in Group A at the beginning of the trial was 27.5 kgs of milk, with 6.7 kgs of variation in the milk production. And for the group number 2, the average milk yield at the beginning of the trial was 25.1 kgs of milk per cow. But the variation here was slightly higher compared to the variation we observed in the Group A. That was at the beginning of the trial. The results that we got were the average difference in milk yield between both groups was 2.7 kgs of milk per cow per day. Remember that we set the non-inferiority difference at 5 kgs of milk per cow per day. Our results indicated that the milk yield on average was numerically higher in Group A compared to Group B, but we didn't see any significant statistical difference between both groups. The lower bound of the 95% confidence interval for the difference was lower than 0, and the upper bound for the difference was higher than the critical value of delta. Remember that it was 5. And there was a significant interaction of times treatment on the average milk yield, indicating that the milk yield was depending upon the time in both groups. There was no effects of parity, and there was no effects of days in milk at the beginning of the trial on milk production. This is the milk lactation curve for both groups. Group A corresponds to the blue line, and Group B corresponds to the red line, and you can see that there was no significant differences across the time of the trial. However, the milk production was slightly higher in the Group A compared to Group B, but I just want to say that we didn't observe any significant differences between both groups, and the difference between those groups, the difference in the average milk production was just between the confidence interval that we set at the beginning of the trial, indicating that there was no inferiority of the product A compared to product B. In conclusion, we can say that our results indicated that Bomate is not inferior to lactotropin based on its effect that we observed in milk yield in grazing dairy cows. I mean, under our conditions, we didn't observe any difference between both formulations of recombinant bovine somatotropin. So we can tell to our dairy farmers that they can use either for increasing milk production under the conditions that we have currently in Colombia. So these are our results. We evaluated also the body condition score, the incidence of metabolic diseases, and we didn't see any difference between both groups, but metabolic diseases, the incidence, or the body condition score, we didn't have that objective in our study, so we were just focused on milk production, and as I said, we didn't observe any difference. So we can recommend to our producers that they can use either formulations of this product to increase the milk production. That's all I have for now. Thank you very much for your attention.